What's up, guys? How you doing? Ugh. That is my phone. I'm gonna turn this on silent. How you guys doing? How was y'all's holiday? I know I usually do these like way later in the day, but I just wanted to like get a quick little end of the year kind of stream because I'm probably gonna be busy on New Year's Eve, like the actual New Year's Eve. And I don't know. I just kind of wanted to connect with you guys, for the end of the year and talk about some comics. HR goes vocal. Hey, what's up? DP fan. Hey, what's up? How you doing, guys? Yeah. How was y'all's holiday? If y'all celebrate Christmas or any other holiday like Kwanzaa or Hanukkah. Oh, I know Hanukkah was like several weeks ago this year, like November, I think. Holidays were fun. Hey, that's good to hear, man. So, what's the topic of today's stream? Today's stream, I wanted to talk about just some comics that I thought were the best comics of 2021. So, without further ado, let's kind of just jump right into that. HR goes vocal. My holiday's been all right. Good to hear. So, question for you guys in the chat. What were some of your favorite comics of the year? That's what I'm interested in. That's what I'm pick your brain about. That's what I find fascinating. I got a few here that I thought were like kind of the highlights of 2021 for me. Actually, quite a few. There was a lot of good comics that came out this year. There's a lot of bad comics that came out this year too, but for the most part, I think the good outweighs the bad here. This is like one of those really cool, like, not to sound too, like, mushy, gushy about it, but, like, no, there's a lot of good stuff that came out this year. I know, like, it's very easy to focus on the bad, and, I mean, a lot of people made careers off of focusing on the bad, but, no, there's some good comics out. First things first, not all the comics that I have been collecting this year are physical. Some of them I've been collecting digitally just because you don't see it, but I have like a whole mess of a wall back there full of comics and long boxes that are overflowing. So some of those comics that I have are digital, so they're not like in this pile I got right here. But without further ado, let's just jump right into it, right? So the first comic of 2021 that like really like tickled my pickle to the point where I was like just in awe of like, oh my god, comics can be this great. Not in like a disparaging way. I think comics are probably the best medium of all. But I just jumped right into it. Department of Truth. This comic is fantastic. I think I've talked about this in some of my other live streams. I'm not the biggest like horror guy. Not that I think horror is bad in comics. It's just that I don't get the same effect usually from horror when it's in comic form versus like video games or film or TV, so to speak. But this hooked me. Like this like really. This is fucking scary. Not to like overhype it, but like a lot of the ideas that like James Tynion puts forth, and a lot of the ways that this narrative is just kind of conveyed visually is just absolutely stunning and terrifying. I keep forgetting the name of the artist. It's Martin Simmons, because it's a name that like I'm not super familiar with in terms of like the comics industry. Oh, what's up, Tristan? How you doing? Yeah, happy early New Year. But yeah, no, like this comic is like really good. It's really freaky. If you're like really into like X-Files or like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like the Freak of the Week kind of stuff, this follows that kind of narrative, but it's very, I don't know, it's very in tune with like creepypasta. if that makes sense. Like if you like took like those SCP videos that you see on YouTube, if you like took that and made it into a comic using the like Freak of the Week style like format, that's what this comic is. It's really good. DB fan, is Scott Snyder overhyped? Yeah. And I feel bad saying that because I genuinely like Scott Snyder as a writer. Yeah, that rhymes still. But I don't know. I think he's certainly good, and there are definitely times where I think the hype is warranted, but there's also times where I think the hype is like not warranted. Like if you've seen my video on like his run on Batman, that's an instance where I think the hype is definitely not warranted. I also feel the same way about his run on Justice League. It's very, I don't know. It feels very Morrison light. But I feel that way with a lot of the stuff that Scott Snyder writes for DC. It feels very Morrison light. I mean, I don't want to be like disparaging or like be shitty, but I don't know, that's just how I feel. You just, But, I mean, if you're going to copy anybody, copying Grant Morrison's not. There were worse people to imitate in the comics industry, so, better to copy from the best, right? But, let's see. Dark Knight's Metal was weird. I agree. Dark Knight's Metal felt like a very... it felt like Final Crisis, but like... someone... You know what it felt like? Dark Knight's Metal to me felt like all of the Ghostbusters movies after the first Ghostbusters. This is going to be like a weird tangent on Ghostbusters. But that first Ghostbusters movie, if you haven't seen it, it's not really about busting ghosts. It's a movie about capitalism and 80s materialism. And the whole point of the film is that, like, these academics get kicked out of their university and they become, like, these glorified janitors that corner a niche market. That niche market being, hunting down ghosts and then busting them. They're pest control. And they kind of monopolize that whole market, and they inadvertently bring about the apocalypse as a result. The whole movie is about like 80s capitalism, but everybody since then just kind of walked away with like, busting makes me feel good. It's like, sure, but that's not the point of Ghostbusters. And in my opinion, that's why all the other Ghostbusters like movies and cartoons and video games that came out since then aren't great, because they missed the point of the original thing that they're kind of based on. But yeah, no, I feel that same way about like Scott Snyder's DC stuff. Really pulling hard from Grant Morrison, but ultimately missing the point of what made Grant Morrison stuff really good. I feel really bad about saying that. Again, I like Scott Snyder a lot, but like, oof. Those are the vibes I get from reading Scott Snyder comics. HR goes vocal. I have to say the books that got me hooked this year is The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, Firepower, and Reckless. You know what? I looked at The Many Deaths of Layla Starr in the comic book store, and I really considered getting it. I even saw on... What comic book website was I on? It's one of the ones that's like not CBR, so it's like actually like good and not shitty. I can't think of the name of it. But The Many Deaths of Layla Starr was definitely on that list. And it looked really fascinating. The art looks really good. Who's the artist on that? Let me know. Let's see. I think I'm in some other chats. HR goes vocal. Still waiting for the book I got for Christmas, including the ones that I ordered with the money that I got in the mail. Yeah, that happens. I had that same problem too. I ordered a couple of the trades of Ultimate Spider-Man, and they're just not going to come in until mid-January. Actually, you know what? No, I take that back, because I found one of them at my local comic shop, and I picked it up yesterday. This guy. Yeah. Ultimate Spider-Man is like one of my favorite comic book series of all time. I really like this comic, and I was an idiot when I was going off to college, and I was like, I don't need these comics, and I just got rid of a bunch of my Ultimate Spider-Man books and donated them. That's not a total waste. I donated them to one of the not halfway home. It's like they don't call them orphanages anymore, but it's the place where orphans go. That, like, the political correct term is not orphanage, but it's basically an orphanage. I sent it to one of those places. So it's not, it didn't go to waste. I'm sure those kids are really, like, enjoying those comics that I wish I kind of didn't get rid of, because I didn't end up going away to college, because college is expensive, so I just stayed here. So that was not the smartest move on my part. But yeah, no, I'm recollecting all my Ultimate Spider-Man trades. Let's see. DP fan, any thoughts on Grant Morrison's Superman Authority book? It was good. Wasn't great, but it was good. You know, Grant Morrison comics are like, it's like masturbating. You know, like, sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's just like, oh, that was the thing to pass the time, but I was still moderately entertained. You know, still had some fun. That's what reading Grant Morrison comics was like, and in the case of Superman and the Authority, it was more so the latter. Yeah, it's alright. Although I would think of Grant Morrison books, at worst, they're like just kind of fun to pass the time, but they're never bad. Yeah, I've never had the experience of reading a Grant Morrison book where like I had a vehement reaction to it where I was like, this bad. Like, you know, I know some people have that with certain Grant Morrison books. I know I'm like in the vast minority of people who really like Wonder Woman Earth 1. I know some people like hate it because you fetishized lesbians, but like, it's the William Marston did, and that was the point of the comic. So I don't know. It's hard to get mad at Grant Morrison for just kind of sticking to what thematically Wonder Woman is supposed to be. Tristan, let's see, books that I read in 2021 that I like: Eternals, Radiant Black, Nonstop Spider-Man, X-Men, Hellions, Nick Spencer Spider-Man, Darkhawk, Miles Morales, Thor, Son of Kal-El, Nightwing, and many others. Hey, congratulations! You found a lot of comics to really enjoy. That's great. Let's see. Of that list, I have read Eternals, which I really liked, but I am not collecting that in. I'm not collecting that in physical copies. I'm getting that digitally right now, but I'm gonna get those in trade because I really like Kieran Gillen, and Asad Ribic is just great. Radiant Black was fun. I dropped it after the first like 2 issues though, because it felt like just another Invincible clone. But I heard there's like a twist in there, so like I have to get back in it. Nonstop Spider-Man is also really fun, but I mainly just picked that up for Chris Bachalo's art. I think Chris Bachalo's amazing. X-Men's also really good. The X-Men stuff is sad for me, because I'm not a big X-Men guy personally. But I really like Jonathan Hickman, and when I heard the whole thing with Jonathan Hickman, that like he's, you know, kind of got the axe from Marvel because Marvel's like, we know better. I don't know, just all any investment that I had in like the whole Krakoa era, I just don't know. But hopefully it goes good. If you're enjoying it so far, let me know if it continues to, stay really interesting. I'd be really interested to, hear some feedback on that. I also agree Nick Spencer's Spider-Man is really fun. Again, I'm in the minority. I really like that comic. I think the character work is really good. People, understandably and very fairly, people kind of, dog on it for being, the plotting is all over the place and convoluted. It's Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man. Spider-Man comics have been, all over the place and convoluted for, 30 plus years now. Get over it. Those are my basic feelings on it. But yeah, no. I'm also really liking Thor. That's another one I'm getting in trade. Son of Kal-El. I'm not personally a fan, but, I'm glad you like it. I know Tom Taylor speaks to some people and Tom Taylor doesn't speak to others. But yeah, great list. Let's see, DP fan. I have a lot of Ultimate Marvel books and I'm still waiting on more DC Earth 1 stuff. Me too. I really like the DC Earth 1 line. I honestly think that's kind of the direction DC should just go in. I really think DC should just kind of do away with, trying to fit things in continuity, because it ain't working. But I really like when they just tell, cool stories. My favorite DC comics in recent years are Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which I'll get to. The Tom King Superman Up in the Sky comic that came out a couple years ago. Batman Universe by Bendis, that was really good. Wonder Woman Earth 1, Earth 1. But Wonder Woman Dead Earth, also really good. I really enjoy the Batman Earth 1 books by Jeff Johns. Which is weird because I'm not typically a fan of Jeff Johns' take on Batman, but I really like what he's doing with the character there. Also the Grant Morrison Green Lantern book, which, if you ask someone when that takes place, or I guess you ask Grant Morrison when that takes place, they're probably just going to be like, brr, I don't know. You tell me. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like DC should just kind of get out of the mode of trying to do things in continuity. Just tell us cool stories. Like that Human Target book that's coming out right now, by Tom King. When does that take place? Wonder Woman Evolution. When does that take place? Who cares? It's just good. It's a good comic. But yeah, that's how I feel about DC doing continuity stuff. And yeah, that and a couple of HR Goes Vocal. That and a couple of Bleach manga volumes. The anime is returning. Really? The anime is returning. Wait, you know what? No, I did hear about that. My girlfriend told me about that a couple years ago now. Actually, Jesus, how long has that been in development? I still have yet to read Bleach. That's the thing that I want to read Bleach because I hear that's the quintessential shonen manga, but I don't know. I just haven't read it yet. There's a lot of manga though that I'm trying to get into. I think I said in one of my other streams that I'm really trying to collect the old Astro Boy comics right now. I'm really into those. And also I'm trying to catch up on Naruto because Naruto is really fun. My girlfriend said nothing but great things about Naruto, and she's a pretty good judge of the character when it comes to manga recommendations. But let's see. Tristan, I only got number 1 through 4 of the Son of Kal-El reprints. Oh, cool. Yeah, I like those covers a lot. I don't know who's doing those. It might be Joe Quinones, but yeah, those covers are pretty good. DP fan, rereading Crisis on Infinite Earths is insane. DC, the dawn of convolution. Yes, precisely. Yeah, I just think DC should quit with continuity because it doesn't work for them. Or not do away with it, but having a strict continuity that it doesn't work. That's more of a Marvel thing, I feel. DC should just kind of like focus on doing like just cool stories with like the characters, just like I think their movies should. But I'm also at a point with like Marvel and DC where I feel like, particularly in the case of DC has lost their way. Like there were like creators on like an individual level who understand what DC is and should be, but there's, I don't know, the just the people on top, like the editors and whatnot. I just don't think they get it. And same thing with Marvel. Yeah. DP fan, pre-crisis DC universe, just telling random stories. Yeah, and they were really fun too. But yeah, back to the comics that I thought were some of the best of the year. Department of Truth is one of them. Oh, I don't think I like showed you my hat. Yeah, I mean, obviously you see it, but yeah, I got this at like Five Below on like Christmas Eve. Really fun. I know Christmas is over, but I'm gonna milk this because it's green and it feels nice on my head. I like it. Wait. Shit. There we go. Next comic that I thought was like the best of 2021, or like one of the best of 2021. Ultra Mega. This comic is phenomenal. Now, okay, I kind of come from the background of like being a big like Toho fan. Like I really like the Toho Monster Universe. I really like, you know, kaiju films and whatnot. So, you know, I saw this on the shelf and I was like, oh, this is like gritty Ultraman. Like, look at this. Look at that cover. Just he's just bleeding out. That's so cool, man. Yeah, this reminded me a lot of like, what if the team behind Devilman Crybaby, you know, the reboot that came out a couple years ago for Devilman, what if they did their take on Ultraman? That's what this feels like, and I was all about it. It's a little confusing sometimes. Sorry, my room's dusty. You know, I don't know why I admitted that. My room's not dusty. It's very clean. I'm a very clean person. I totally don't leave messes everywhere. HR goes vocal. I was hoping to get around to Ultra Mega. Yeah, it's really fun. The cool part is the series is pretty much over right now, so you can pick up all 4 issues. Or I think the trade's out already, so you can just pick up the trade. This comic is really fun. The art is fantastic. James Harren, I think, does all of it. I think he is the writer and the artist. Let's see. Yeah, James Harren, creator, artist, and writer, with Dave Stewart as colorist. Also, I don't talk about letterers a lot, or I guess I don't talk about letterers enough. Russ Wooton. Like, the lettering is really good. Like, look at that. If you can see it. There's like a delay on my screen, so I can't quite make out if you can see it on the screen. But yeah, that lettering is really good. Really strong stuff. Really kind of like puts you in the vibe of like the characters in the world. And just this comic's really dynamic. It's really fun. Again, the story makes fuck all sense sometimes. Like, it's one of those things where you're like, holy shit, this looks cool, but I don't know what's going on. That's exactly this comic. But yeah, it's really fun, and I highly recommend checking it out if you're like into like tokusatsu kind of stuff. Not tokusatsu, but like Toho, kind of like monsters and stuff like that. This is a love letter to that kind of material. I really liked it. Hey, what's up, Troy? Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. I was so close to asking you to come on Bruce. What I'm talking about. Oh. Oops. I mean, I'd still like to. But unless you already did it, in which case, yeah, it's cool. It's always next time. But yeah, what were some of your favorite comics of the year? I know you were like really giddy about one of the ones that I have in my list too, which is actually the next one that I have queued up. So the next one I'll talk about is Red Room. I did a video on Red Room. Nobody watched it. Actually, I'll take that back. A couple people watched it, but I really like this comic. I really like Ed Piscor. He's a great artist and a great writer. If you've like checked out X-Men Grand Design, like the Grand Design books are like really good. Ed Piscor is like, I think Ed Piscor might be from Baltimore. I think maybe they're from New York. I have no idea. But I know they're like from the East Coast, and I think they're like a street artist, and they just kind of like incorporate those sensibilities into comics. And this is kind of exactly that. This is for me at least, this came at just the right time because I just finished reading. I have a book up here actually. Let's see if I can get it down without destroying my whole setup. Comic Book Nation. This book is by what's his face? Bradford W. Wright. This comic talks all about like the history of comics in America and how American culture shaped the American comic book industry, vice versa. And I don't know, just very timely checking this out as I was reading this. Because the really weird thing about comics in America in particular is that, you know, it wasn't always, you know, Marvel this, DC that, and everything just kind of like in the middle somewhere. No, comics used to be very like diverse and like varied in terms of like content. You know, you would see Superman on the shelf, you know, and like maybe 2 books down, you'd get like total gore porn like this. And then Joe McCarthy happened with Nixon and President Eisenhower. And they were like, comics turned your children into gay communists. So, yeah. That's why everything is just kind of like Marvel and DC these days. And like hyper-sanitized Marvel and DC at that. Ed Piscor's Red Room is like a throwback to like those old EC comics, you know, like entertainment comics, like torture porn material, like gore porn. And I think this is really cool. Also has like a lot of like R. Crumb influence. Like I'm not sure if you guys have like checked out R. Crumb, but if you haven't, I highly recommend doing that. Just good to like, you know, familiarize yourself with like the history of comics and whatnot. So, this book is really fun. Again, I have the same thing that I have with Ultra Mega. Sometimes I'm reading it and I'm like, the fuck is going on? But the art's really good, so I don't really care. I really enjoyed this, and I think the trade came out. I think my girlfriend might own that on her comics list. I think she might be collecting that one. I don't know. Ed Piscor's Red Room, really good. If you're into that sort of thing, you know. If you're not, I don't want to. You know, I want to recommend you something that like you read and you're like, the fuck did Mystical Green Beanie like make me read? This is weird shit. What's going on in your brain? A lot goes on in my brain. That's neither here nor there. Anyways, the next one that I want to talk about is Wonder Girl. Even though this is technically the Future State Wonder Woman comic. This is where the Yara Flor character comes from. I really like Yara Flor. I think she's a great character. If you guys aren't checking out the Joelle Jones stuff, like the Wonder Girl comic where Joelle Jones is like kind of reinventing that whole corner of the DC universe with like, you know, the Pantheon and whatnot and like the Wonder Woman mythology. I really think you need to get on that because it's really good. Like, and I talked about this like on I think 2 streams ago. But Joe Jones is kind of like just radically kind of like altering the mythos of Wonder Woman and doing it through this character Yara Flor. And it's really fascinating. So yeah, I'm not gonna say much here that I haven't already said about this comic. But yeah, it's just great, and Joel Jones is an amazing artist as well as an amazing writer. So I highly recommend checking this out if you haven't already. Let's see. Tristan. Other books I read were Spider Shadow, Cantwell's Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man Beyond, Marauders, Sword, Wolverine, Alien, Daredevil, Avengers, Kate Bishop, and Moon Knight. I've read a few of those. I actually have Iron Man in my list here, which we'll get to. Spider Shadow was really good. Although I only read it once. I didn't read it in its entirety. Either I don't think I got to the end of it, but I liked what I read of it. I really like the art. The art's really good in that. Plus, it was just really fun to go back to the '80s of Spider-Man, because for me the '80s is my favorite era for the character. I think that's where Spider-Man kind of peaks. Let's see, Guardians of the Galaxy. I hear that's really good. I read the first volume of the Al Ewing run. I think it's really good. But again, that's another one that I'm gonna trade weight on, and just kind of hoard myself on the trades. Let's see, Spider-Man Beyond. I'm glad you're liking that. Marauders, Sword. I haven't read those, but my buddy talks about how much he enjoys those, and he's trying to get me to read them. So I'll just kind of steal them from his apartment later on. Alien. That's a good book. That's a good book too. I like it a lot. Wolverine, Daredevil, Avengers, Kate Bishop. I'm really liking Daredevil. Avengers, I'm not a fan of, but I'm glad you're enjoying it. I didn't know Kate Bishop had a book right now. That's interesting. But I mean, very timely. I mean, there's a Hawkeye show on Disney Plus. Marvel would be crazy to not put Kate Bishop in everything right now. It'd be crazy not to pimp her out, because she's kind of the it girl right now. And Moon Knight. Yeah, Moon Knight's really fun. I'm liking that book a lot right now. But speaking of Iron Man, that's on this list. I'm really enjoying the Christopher Cantwell Iron Man series. Again, I'm in the minority, but I greatly enjoy this comic. I think it's really good as far as a post-Civil War, okay, so there's 2 Iron Mans, right? There's Iron Man pre-Warren Ellis, and then there's Iron Man post-Warren Ellis. Right? There's... And I really feel like Matt Fraction and Salvador LaRocca did their best to fuse the two together, bridge the gap. But yeah, this very much feels like an extension of that material, where just kind of skipping over all the Dan Slott stuff and all the stuff with Superior Iron Man and all that. Just skipping over all that. But also being informed by all of that to tell this. I don't know. It really works for me. Let's see. Where was I? I had a thought, and then it just kind of that's how my brain works, unfortunately. But damn, what was I talking about? Chat, where was I? I feel like I had a point, and I just kind of lost it. I don't know. But yeah, no. Cantwell's Iron Man, I'm really enjoying. this just feels like quintessential Iron Man to me. Like I get the complaints, where people are like mad that you have Patsy Walker like giving Tony Stark a lot of shit, but like, I mean, at the same time, that's in a lot of those old like David Michelinie and Bob Layton Iron Man comics in the 70s, right? Like that's like Patsy Walker's no worse than Bethany Cabe, right? So I don't know. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm also reading this whole book as like keeping in mind everything from Civil War to Dan Slott. This whole run feels like Tony Stark experiencing a psychotic break, or not a psychotic break, but like the camel's back is broken, caved in, and like dug into the earth. Like, and with that example, the camel's back is Tony's brain. Like Tony is just kind of gone. Like he's out to lunch, and I buy it. Like after the Civil War, and then after not quite really reconciling his differences with Captain America and the rest of the superhero community, leading to the incursions not being fully stopped in Hickman's Avengers. And then even before that, there was a whole thing with Superior Iron Man, and then who came on? Bendis's run, where Tony finds out that like his parents aren't even really his parents. Yeah. And then like Carol Danvers murders him, and he has like a whole existential crisis about whether or not he's really himself. No, I totally buy that Tony Stark is a fucking crazy person in this comic. Like his brain can't handle it. You would just kind of lose it. And it already... Let's not pretend that like he had a healthy upbringing in the first place. Because as we've seen in a Shield, that Hickman book, Tony had a very messed up childhood. I'm really digging this. I dig it a lot. Let's see. The chat real quick. Also, Dark Ages by Tom Taylor is awesome. I like those first two issues a lot. Those are really good. Who's the artist on that? That's a book that I'm gonna probably collect and trade. But yeah, I really like that comic. Let's see. DP fan. I keep hearing that Wonder Girl was getting a TV show, possibly a CW thing. I heard that too. I also heard that got canceled, which is also why DC's probably canceling that the Wonder Girl book. It's not officially canceled, but I mean, it's not solicited after issue 8, so I'm just gonna take that as a cancellation, which is very unfortunate. DP fan, that new Iron Man book felt like classic Iron Man vibes. It did to me too, which is why I'm very confused that a lot of Iron Man fans just like endlessly bitching and moaning about it. This is like exactly what we've been asking for for like 10 years now. We finally get it, and people hate it. I don't understand. Yeah, people be people. Humans be humans, right? Let's see. Previews World. Hey, welcome back. Let's see. You guys said that your favorite books were the Mini Death of Layla Starr. Oh, that got deleted. Okay. Spider Shadow. Wait, no, I'm reading something else now. My bad. Spider-Man Life Story, the annual. Yes. That's really good. Chip Zdarsky just gets Spider-Man. And Mark Bagley also drew that one too. And I'm a sucker for Mark Bagley doing art on anything. Echo Lands. Oh, I'm not hip. Alright, I gotta check that out. That sounds interesting. Nightwing 87. Yes, dude, yes. The Nightwing book is weird for me. There are things in it that I really like, and then there's things in it that I just don't like. But that's just how I am with Tom Taylor in general. But yeah, that issue was really cool, where it's just like all one panel. Like I like when comics do like really unique stuff like that. Black Panther Party. Yes, did that come out last year or this year? I don't know. 2021's been a very long year. Somebody had to remind me that like there's like an actual insurrection that happened like at the beginning of the year, and I was like, really? That was this year? That felt like last year. But yeah. Yeah, I hear Black Panther Party was really good. Barry Windsor Smith's Monsters. I also heard that was really good. It's just very pricey. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Chainsaw Man. My girlfriend's telling me a lot about Chainsaw Man. Several coworkers have told me about Chainsaw Man. It looks really fun. Looks like it's like right up my alley. Kind of like Parasite a little bit with like some Mob Psycho vibes. If I'm to believe their recommendations. The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. Yeah. I think Tristan was telling me about that earlier. Looks really good. Dark Days. Yes, Dark Days is also that's a comic that I've talked about with customers at my local comic shop, Alliance Comics, at 8317 Fenton Street in downtown Silver Spring. Definitely check it out if you're in the area, the Silver Spring, Maryland area. Ultra Mega, yeah, that was in my list. I talked about that one earlier. Really good stuff. Smart Girl, I heard that was good. The covers looked interesting too. And Daredevil. Yeah, okay, so I wanted to put Daredevil on this list. Like, I really kind of did. But that also feels like cheating. Because Daredevil's usually pretty fucking good. Like, I mean, going back to, like, the beginning of that book, right? Like, Daredevil has just kind of been consistently good since, like, what, 1964? 63? But Don Heck? Yeah, those comics have always been good. Like, Daredevil is, like, one of the very few characters that I don't think has had a bad run. Minus that one time that Andy Diggle wrote him and did the whole Shadowland thing, but we don't talk about that. But yeah, Daredevil's like one of those weird characters where, like, just, I don't know. At worst, the comics are just kind of like, it's boring, but, like, it's not bad. And even when it's boring, that's like a wholly subjective thing. Because I thought that Mark Waid's run on Daredevil was boring, but, like, from what I've read of it, no, they're objectively good comics. It's well written, and I think Chris Samnee does the art for that run for the most part. Chris Samnee's art is really good in that. It just didn't speak to me, but, you know, I really appreciated what Mark Waid was trying to do with the character. And yeah, Daredevil's a character that hasn't had a bad run, I feel. So that's why Daredevil's just not on this list, because, I mean, it's Daredevil. I don't know. Daredevil rarely is bad. Let's see. Tristan, Tony finding out that his parents weren't his real parents was in Kieran Gillen's run. Yes, you're right. I'm mistaken there. My bad. Bendis was the one who put Tony in a coma and made Riri Williams the new Iron Man and Doctor Doom as the new Iron Man. Yep. Those are things that definitely happened in Bendis's run on Iron Man. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that there. DP fan. The Star-Lord character has completely changed from what I'm used to. Marvel. Retcon City. Okay, so I was like kind of saving this for like a video, but I might just air this out right here, right now. Because they already kind of talked about it earlier. I feel like Marvel and DC are like they're at a point now where they just lost the plot. And I'm reading a lot of Marvel and DC. Like, don't get me wrong, I like some of the individual books that are coming out, but I feel like on the whole, the people in charge of Marvel and DC just kind of don't understand what makes Marvel Marvel and what makes DC DC, if that makes any sense. For me, it feels like, at least in the case of Marvel, Marvel has gotten so kind of like popular and in the public eye, and also just on top of that, they're a corporate property just owned by Disney. So a lot of those characters can't really be characters. You know, they're hoes. You know, they're the product for Disney to push commercially and shove on backpacks so that like 5-year-olds can buy them in like Target. So you know, there's that. But I don't know, just even just like on an editorial level, it really feels like Marvel right now. It really feels like Marvel's trying to be like DC, right? Right? Kind of. Like, you know, like people talk about like SJW Marvel, which I just resist that notion altogether. But, yeah, no, just I don't see it as SJW Marvel. I see it as like just hyper commercial, you know, user friendly Marvel, which is not what Marvel's supposed to be. And I say this in my the first part of my retrospective for Ultimates, which I am still working on. Ultimates, my retrospective for Ultimates should be finished, hopefully by February at the latest. But anyways, Marvel is not the home of like quintessential superheroes or like, you know, icons or like inspiration. You know, like that's not what Marvel is. Marvel is the counter to DC. You know, whereas DC is like the home of heroes, you know, Marvel is like the let me reword that. So I'm going to double back. Whereas DC, right? And I'll talk about DC in a minute. But whereas DC is like the fantasy land, you know, that revolves around superheroes. Marvel, for all intents and purposes, is supposed to be the real world with superheroes in it, you know? It's supposed to be a little cynical. It's supposed to be a little biting. You know, it's a satire of American culture and American values, and using superheroes as like a metaphor to tell those stories. You know, it's like this is gonna be a weird example to give, but like it's almost kind of like The Boys if like, you know, the superheroes and The Boys weren't one-dimensional mustache twirling bad guys, and like they actually were trying to help people, if that makes sense. Like the thing that tripped me up, like Captain Marvel, right? Marvel's trying to get the alcoholic, just absolute wreck of a human being, Carol Danvers, to be their Wonder Woman. No. Like, what are you doing? That's not what those characters are. Like, the Avengers... Okay. The Marvel Universe, just, like, in-universe, the civilians that live there don't like superheroes. Because in the real world, we would not like superheroes. Yeah? Like, like, in the Marvel Universe, you know, just using some, like, you know, lore perspective here, like, Spider-Man wouldn't be seen as, like, oh, no, he's, like, anybody can be Superman, you know? Like, anybody can be Spider-Man. You just put on the mask and you're Spider-Man. Yeah! Spider-Man's not that. He's not that kind of character that you see in, like, Into the Spider-Verse, or, like, even the MCU, or even the comics currently, or, like, as much as I love the Insomniac games, you know, the Spider-Man in those games, like, Spider-Man's a weirdo who swings around in a full body condom and talks to himself. The people in the Marvel Universe are afraid of Spider-Man. like they don't like him. So, you know, we like him because we understand who the character of Peter Parker is, but that's an outside looking in kind of perspective. But, like, in universe, people don't like Spider-Man, just like people don't like the X-Men because they're painfully mutant phobic, or don't like the Avengers because a lot of people just see the Avengers as, like, you know, red carpet walking phonies. You know, it's kind of this. So, you know, Marvel's supposed to be like the like satirical, like, kind of biting kind of thing with those characters, but, you know, it just kind of isn't that anymore, which I find very unfortunate. Which is just, like, it makes the pain of what DC is trying to do all the more worse. Because DC is trying to be Marvel. In an age where Marvel doesn't know what Marvel is supposed to be anymore. And that's just... But DC's always been like that, right? Like, ever since Marvel came on the scene, DC's been... Like, they've had that weird penis envy about Marvel, where it's like, oh no, Marvel, they have better superheroes than us. Shut up. You have fucking Superman. You have Superman. Marvel has Icarus. Superman. Who do you think Icarus is based off of? Oh my god, you people are... Oh my god, so frustrating. Like... And again... Individuals get it. Like, the creatives get it. But, like, editors, it just kind of goes... You know, like Philip Kennedy Johnson. We'll talk about in just a second, because Action Comics is, like, on my list of, like, one of the best comics of 2021. But, like, you know, Philip Kennedy Johnson gets what Superman's supposed to be. You know, like, Superman stories are supposed to be epic. You know, DC stories are supposed to be epic. You know, whereas Marvel is, like, the kind of, like, nuanced, you know, biting, like, socio-political commentary, you know, universe. DC is the universe of the biblical epic, you know? Everything's go big or go home, you know? You know, like, stories like the World Saga should not be considered, like, exceptional. It should be the rule. You know, stories like Wonder Woman Dead Earth should not be considered exceptional. It should be the rule. Yeah? So, like, I don't know, just all this, like the stuff with, like, John Kent, and I know people are liking it, but just for my money, it's like, oh no, like, what if we do, like, a softer side of Superman, where, like, you know, he's exploring his sexuality, and, like, he's just the softer side, where, like, he goes and does marches with people, like, bitch, nut. It's fucking Superman. Why are you overthinking this? But yeah, that's yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But I it's just frustrating. But it is good to see that like people actually kind of like on like a creative end. There are creators individually who get it. Even if people like in an editorial level, even like above editorial in terms of like marketing and whatnot, they don't get it. The creators get it, which is cool. And honestly, that's not to say that I don't think you can tell like nuanced stories with DC characters. Just like I don't think you can not tell epic stories with Marvel characters. Like I do think that you can do something interesting with like, you know, the son of Superman exploring his sexuality. Like I think there's a really interesting story there. But you're not gonna get it with, you know, Jonathan Kent marching for climate change. That got really negative really fast. Sorry about that. Let's see. Oh, what's up, Aggressively Taxing? How you doing? Sorry, not taxing. Aggressively Relaxing. You're new here. I don't think I've seen you before. What's up? And if I have, I'm sorry. I have a terrible memory. If it's not comics, I literally don't remember it. God, I'm gonna like be a terrible father if I have children. DP fan, Daredevil keeps getting mediocre to good, great runs, but never bad. Yeah, exactly. Daredevil's like a weird anomaly there. Aggressively Relaxing. Coach's Black Panther, Slot's Fantastic Four, Taylor's Nightwing, all the X-Men stuff. What a great year. I could go on for a while. Stray Dogs was this year. Yes. All really good stuff. I like Taylor's Nightwing for the most part. Coach's Black Panther I heard got really good. I just couldn't do it in the beginning because it felt very lore heavy. And it felt like it was coasting off the art. But I heard once you got to like the intergalactic stuff with Wakanda, it really picked up. So, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to give that a read now that it's all completed. X-Men stuff, yeah. I love Hickman. I'm like a total whore for Jonathan Hickman. But yeah, it was a great year for comics. Yeah, I agree. Daredevil is good is a constant of the universe. Yes. Daredevil supremacy. I should have been wearing my Daredevil shirt. Tristan. Oh yeah, Dan Slott's Fantastic Four series is pretty fun. The Wedding of Doom arc was such a funny arc with Johnny's. Oh. Well, that's a very Johnny Storm thing to do. But spoilers. Unless it came out like a while back, in which case, no, spoilers don't really count. But yeah, that sounds pretty fun. DP fan, I would love to see you make a video on Marvel and DC losing the plot of their universe's comics. It feels like that since Marvel Now, the relaunch in 2012, and the DC New 52 relaunch in 2011. Yep. Quite unfortunate. HR goes vocal. I feel like I've been saying HR goes viral this whole time. You're not viral. You're vocal. Yeah, no, you're fully boosted. But yeah, oh no, did you get deleted? No, my eyes are just not working properly. Captain Marvel is Monica Rambeau. I agree. Yeah. Monica Rambeau is a great character. It really sucks that Marvel just kind of like relegated her to the background. Quite unfortunate. Although I heard she's really good in the Ultimates book, like the relaunch that Al Ewing did a couple years ago. I heard she was really good in that. DP fan, ever since the MCU and DCEU started in full force with the Avengers, the movie 2012, and Green Lantern, the movie in 2011, along with Marvel Now and DC 52 reboots and relaunches, both universes have felt off. Painfully agree. DP fan, I know Green Lantern the movie didn't technically start the DCEU, but WB wanted it to. Yeah. I also heard somewhere that Zack Snyder wanted Ryan Reynolds to come back and like just fold that movie into the DCEU, which is fascinating. I also heard that Zack Snyder originally wanted to have George Clooney be the Batman of his universe, so that the first 4 Batman films would be considered canonical, so that when you get to BVS, Batman is, he's already gone through those like really fun, wacky adventures, and then he just kind of regresses into being what he was in the Keaton years, which I think is a fascinating take on that. Obviously, we didn't see that, but from all the interviews around the time, it seemed like that's what Ben Affleck's Batman more or less kind of was. In the same way that like Peter B. Parker from Spider-Verse is like nebulously Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, kind of. Ben Affleck's Batman was like nebulously, the Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Michael Keaton Batman. I think that's interesting. I think it's really interesting when movies kind of do that. Because that means you can kind of just like bypass any of the origin crap and just kind of jump right into, telling stories. Tristan says Coast's Black Panther in Space is already on hardcover. Volume 1 is out, and Volume 2 is going to be released in 2022. Nice! Now I can spend money that I don't have on more hardcovers. I'm drowning in comics. It's not the worst way to drown either. God, I've been just shoving Omnibuy up my ass lately. I just started getting all the Hellboy Omnibuy because the things that are going on with Dark Horse right now, I'm not sure if those will remain in print for very long. So I am anxiously kind of buying those up, as well as getting the Man of Steel hardcovers from John Byrne, because I really like the John Byrne Superman era, which leads into my favorite era of Superman, which is the Dan Jurgens era, which is a really good segue to talk about Philip Kennedy Johnson's run on Action Comics. See what I did there? I'm really proud of myself for that. That was a good transition. God, I was going to make a terrible joke there, but I'm glad I stopped myself. But yeah, no, I'm really digging the Philip Kennedy Johnson run on Action Comics. I think I think that run on Superman is amazing right now. I'm not getting it physically. I'm collecting them on my Comixology, but I am going to get that series in trade. I think the first trade comes out in March of 2022, which is a ways away. But yeah, no, I've really been enjoying Johnson's take on Superman. I do have one small issue with it. It does feel like Philip Kennedy Johnson is kind of simping for the character a little bit, and kind of like it kind of has that thing that irritates me with the character of Superman. I have this with Zack Snyder's take as well. It feels like the iconography is more in the focus, and the character of Clark Kent is being pulled to the back, just a little bit. But overall, I think Johnson understands what makes Superman Superman. I really like the voice that he has for Clark. I like the voice that he has for Kara too. I think the relationship's really well written. And it's weird because I don't know, like after Bendis, I just did not see a way for me to get reinvested in Superman, but just goddamn. Yeah, right? Like Philip Kennedy Johnson just kind of gets it. And there's a lot of echoes of Jurgens for me. Like for me, Dan Jurgens is like the quintessential Superman writer in a modern era. Because I feel like Dan Jurgens did the thing that I think you're supposed to do when updating characters. For a modern context. Like Superman is a character who is like very staunchly a pulp science fiction character because Superman comes from the era of the pulp comic book. And when you get into the 90s with all the Dan Jurgens stuff and like Louise Simonson and whatnot as well, creators like that, they very much stripped away the pulp and just kind of made it straight up science fiction. So, like all these Silver Age kind of like ideas and characters, when you take the pulp out of them, they become like horrifying like monster people, and it's really kind of fascinating. And in a way, the best way that I can describe Dan Jurgens, like that whole 90s era on Superman, is very much Superman meets Doom Eternal in a way. And the stories weren't like, oh no, what? Jimmy Olsen's been turned into... Oh, is that my phone? Oh. House phone. It's gonna stop ringing soon. But in the way that like the old Silver Age Superman books were like, oh, Jimmy Olsen's been turned into a giant turtle. They when you get to the 90s, they retain like the absurdist like science fiction elements, but they don't make it kind of like silly, if that makes any sense. Like, it's still sci-fi, but now it's like, oh no, the Wave Rider has just showed up at my apartment at 3 a.m. Lois, goodbye. I have to go to space and punch Satan. Like, okay, yeah, do that shit, Superman. Like, I don't know, it's hardcore, but only in the sense that like it's hard science fiction, and about as much as you can do hard science fiction and like ask those kind of questions and like do that kind of material with superheroes. And I don't know, I really feel like Philip Kennedy Johnson is doing that here. He's kind of bringing that era of the character back, where you have Superman going off to Warworld and he's gonna fight the son of Mongol. It's very much that thing that you saw in the 90s where Superman's like, all right, Lois, I have to, well, he doesn't take his glasses off anymore because Clark Kent's not yeah. Thank you, Bendis. But he's like, Lois, I have to go to space and punch the devil in the heart of hell. Like, excuse me, yes, give me some of that hardcore shit. I'm with it. It just kind of, that's how you do Superman. That's how you do it. So yeah, I don't know. I really like the Philip Kennedy Johnson Action Comics book. I'm really liking it. I think it's really cool. And that's why it's one of my favorite comics of 2021. Tevia's in the chat. What's up, Tevia? How you doing? How was your holiday? Challenge of the Super Sons was really good. I heard that's good. I just have a whole thing with Super Sons where as soon as DC aged up Jonathan Kent, I stopped caring. Unfortunately. But it's good that those comics are still fun. Action Comics was also really good in my book. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I really agree. Yep, Zack Snyder wanted WBDC catalog of movies to be canon. Apparently, he even wanted the Dark Knight trilogy canonish at one point to add to the history of the DCEU with Batman as a tortured war veteran. He did originally. I think I heard that somewhere. I think that was like one of the like very early pitches, which Christopher Nolan, because Christopher Nolan's the executive producer on the Zack Snyder films. Nolan just said, nope, that's my Batman. I don't give a fuck about the other Batman, but that's my Batman. His story's over. He's over there. Like, put him in a ball and just, don't touch it. It's mine. Um, uh, but yeah, no, I really, I don't know. I wish DC kind of like did more with that idea, but you know, Warner Brothers is trying to like just distance themselves altogether from what Zack Snyder was doing, for better or worse. That Flash movie, right? uh, But Tevya, I wish we had Clark Kent with his family. Well, Clark is with his family. He's just not Clark Kent anymore. He's just Superman all the time because that's what Bendis thought was going to be more interesting. His voice for John Kent is 50-50. Who? Johnson? I don't know. I mean, I guess it's hard to like say Tomasi's is because Tomasi kind of like made that character. Well, no, technically Dan Jurgens made that character, and then Tomasi just kind of like took the ball and kept running. But as we know, Jonathan Kent, that's you know, I think Jonathan Kent's basically a Tomasi character at this point. Tevya, I miss Clark Kent and Lois Lane and their son Jonathan Samuel Kent, Superboy, being a great family, and frankly, it blows my mind that we never got those Silver Age stories with this family. Well, we did. They just got cut painfully short. Be like that. But that's just, you know, that's just comics. Tristan, before I leave, I'm starting to read Bendis' Young Justice and Naomi series. Uncanny X-Men by Matt Rosenberg, Donny Cates, Cosmic Universe, Matt Fraction, Hawkeye, and Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider. Oh, sweet. Hey, and Happy New Year. Yeah. Take care of yourself. Hopefully I see you in the next stream. But those are all really great comics. Matt Fraction's Hawkeye is like still probably one of the... Well, I feel like I said this about everything that Matt Fraction writes. But yeah, no, Matt Fraction's Hawkeye is really strong. Like aces. Like you're gonna enjoy that a lot. Also, the Donny Cates stuff is really good. Venom is really fun. And I'm also really enjoying. Well, not enjoying. I enjoyed Cosmic Ghost Rider, which I think was written by Donny Cates. Right? I thought so, at least. It's DP fan. I really like the hard sci-fi level of stuff and superhero stuff. Me too. But I'm like more of a sci-fi guy than I am like anything else. Like just straight up. I am a slut for sci-fi. I can't help it. I mean, I probably can't help it, but like I choose not to. Let's see. Yeah, Tevya, good. I'm doing good. Well, that's great to hear. Always good to see you, buddy. Both Dan Jurgens and Tomasi did excellent work for my boy John Kent, and it really breaks my heart that Bendis had to screw everything up so badly. Yeah, but I think I don't know. I think Johnson's making it work. You know, I think Philip Kennedy Johnson's making the best of a situation that not a lot of people are happy about, and have been very vocal about not being happy about. Let's see. The Flash movie sounds like the Flash into the multiverse. After years of development hell, he basically gets a Flashpoint event meets a Crisis event. Yep. Dude, I have the same thing with Flash that I have with like all the other superhero movies coming out right now. Like No Way Home, I thought was really fun. Although I've seen it like 3 times by now, and I wish I hadn't, because the second time I saw it, the seams started to show. And the third time I saw it, the seams started to come apart. So, yeah. But just also, I don't know. It would be nice to just have a Spider-Man movie where Spider-Man does Spider-Man stuff without anyone else showing up to be like, it's the Marvel Universe. I don't need that. I would just like a Spider-Man story where Spider-Man is Spider-Man. Just like with the whole Doctor Strange movie coming out, where it's like, we have Wanda, and we also have what's her name? America Chavez. Can I just get a Doctor Strange movie? Please? I just want to see Doctor Strange be Doctor Strange. I don't care about those other characters. You know? I don't know. That's how I feel about that. And same with the Flash. Just like, do you want to see Keaton's Batman? No, I want to see the Flash. But that's how I feel about comic book movies in general right now. Tevia, Nick Spencer's Amazing Spider-Man was really good in my book. But my God, after his run ended, we got Spider-Man Beyond, which sucks. Yeah, I feel that same way too. Well, I don't think it sucks. I just think it's boring. Like, I want it to get to the point. But I also know, like, they're doing the whole brand new day kind of thing where, like, everything is, it's that, like, revolving door of creative talent until Marvel Editorial figures out which team they want to, like, sink their claws into and say, no, you write Spider-Man now. And artist who did that issue over there, you draw Spider-Man now. So that's what they're doing. I'm just waiting until that whole thing's over so I can, like, actually get invested in reading Spider-Man again. Seabay, hey, what's up? Happy New Year's, man. Any recommendations for the next year? Favorite book of the year was Zdarsky's Daredevil. So I don't know. I don't really work at a comic store anymore, so I'm not, like, super in the know about comics that are coming out next year, but I do know that the next installment of Sean Gordon Murphy's White Knight is coming out next year. That's gonna be, I think it's called White Knight Beyond, or Beyond the White Knight, or something like that. Also, I heard there's rumors that, like, Superman's gonna be in that too, so I'm really fascinated to see how that Batman interacts with that kind of Superman. Or, like, really just see, like, Sean Murphy's take on Superman. Really fascinated by that. Also, I love Batman Beyond. I mean, I don't love Batman Beyond to the point where I'm willing to sit through a lot of really crappy Batman Beyond comics. But I get the feeling that Murphy might get it. So yeah, I'm very fascinated by that. I'm excited to see that. What else comes out next year? I know Justice League is getting a new creative team because Bendis is leaving. And I'm interested to see who's gonna take on that book. Because I'd like to read Justice League again. What else is coming out next year? I just don't know. I can say up front, I would assume that that Daredevil concludes with Chip Zdarsky, and I think the conclusion is going to be really good because Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil's really good. But yeah, outside of that, I don't know. Also, I would assume that they're gonna find, like, a solid creative team for Spider-Man. I'm excited for that too. Yeah. Tevia. I just wish there was some way to undo the damage caused by Bendis and just DH my boy John Kent back to normal, or retcon John Kent to be from Earth 3. That would be a solution, but at this point, you're facing the problem of erasure. Jonathan Kent right now is kind of seen as, like, a bi icon. And, like, DC's, like, next big push for, like, diversity. So if you DH him in any way or like get him off the board, DC's gonna face like a shitstorm if they do that. So that's just not gonna happen. Best thing I can hope now is just, we get some quality stories with him as he is right now. Let's see, DP fan. Sci-fi is awesome. The sci-fi idea of X-Men for the Fox original X-Men trilogy was a great approach. X3 had troubled production though. It did. Putting aside who and what Bryan Singer is, I really like the approach that Bryan Singer had for the X-Men trilogy. Because I like the X-Men as, I think I said this before, I'm not a big X-Men reader, but I like the concept of the X-Men. I think the concept of a bunch of humanity is getting to a point where they're going to evolve, and they don't like it. They don't want it because the X-Men are mutants are weird. In universe. And it's funny because Nick Spencer's Captain America says this, or I guess Hydra Cap says this, and it's a really good point that they make, where it's people are tired of being called racist because they don't like mutants, because there are some legitimate concerns and fears that people have, say you drop your kid off at high school and some horny teenage boy who's deep in his emotions walks up to your daughter and he's hey, I think you're cute, what if we hung out? And then she says no, and because he's a mutant and didn't know that he was a mutant, he has an emotional reaction to that, which triggers his X gene, and then he turns into a nuke, and then he kills everybody in the immediate vicinity. That's bad. That's actual cause for concern. So, I think it's really easy for us as readers to look at, the people who hate and fear mutants is they're just bigots and they're bad. But, no, if you lived in the Marvel Universe, you'd probably be on Senator Kelly's side. If we're just being pragmatic about this. You probably hate mutants, too. But I think that idea is really fascinating. And I was always more fascinated with the idea of the X-Men as a science fiction concept rather than a soap opera, which is what I think a lot of consummate X-Men fans fell in love with. So that's kind of what the X-Men comics more so played up, the soap opera, the Jean, she's in love with Cyclops, but Wolverine is this handsome, rugged midget, and she just wants him to bend her over. And she's sexually repressed, and that's what the Phoenix represents. It's all sexual energy, soap opera and drama. I think that's what people really latched onto with the X-Men. But for me, I don't care. I don't care. Just to put it like that. I don't, unfortunately. But I like the X-Men as a science fiction concept, which is exactly why I really latched on to Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely's take on the new X-Men. And it's exactly why I fell in love with Jonathan Hickman's take with the Krakoa era. So yeah. That's the long way of saying I agree with you, DP fan. I agree with you. Tevye Smoka. I personally liked Far From Home, and I think that it's probably one of the best Spider-Man movies that I've seen next to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2. But that's just my opinion. And I respect your opinion. Tevye, here's the thing. I'm all well for diversity, but not forced diversity, like what's going on with my boy John Kent, which is sad because that could have been another way to tell his story organically. Yeah, and that latter point you make is what I am in 100% agreement with. I'm not sure if you guys watch Perch. You know, the YouTube channel Comics by Perch? He talks a lot about interactions that he's had with comic book creators in the industry and editors, and just some of the conversations that he's kind of like relayed in his videos where he talks about, like, you know, he talked with an editor one time and they were like, you know, people hate Jonathan Kent because he's bisexual. And Perch was like, no, people are mad that, like, you aged Jonathan Kent up and they didn't get to see that character grow and evolve. And the editor, at least from his account, was like, people were mad about that? Like, just... Which is also why I think Marvel and DC are just in shambles, because the editor, the people in charge are out of touch. Just painfully out of touch. But after hearing that, you know, that really kind of... That's the problem. That's the problem. You know, like, I don't think it's bad to have I don't think it's bad to have Superman be bisexual or queer. In fact, I think it's good because you open the door to more storytelling opportunities, and you also kind of like open the door to more people, you know, of different backgrounds, kind of like feel like they're represented. I think that's kind of a really important thing with storytelling. So I think that's all good. It's just the way they went about it was just not the smartest. You could have handled it a million different ways. You picked the one way that you just absolutely shouldn't have. Yeah, no. Yeah. Aging Jonathan Kent was a mistake. But yeah, no. Tevia, I am sad Hickman's X-Men story never got finished. Which is sad because his run was really going somewhere. I agree. DP fan, I really liked your video about James Cameron's Spider-Man. Hey, thank you. James Cameron's sci-fi level approach of the character sounded really interesting in retrospect. Yeah, I agree. Again, it's not for everybody. Like, and I liken James Cameron's take on Spider-Man to Zack Snyder's take on Superman. Zack Snyder's take on Superman is distinctly not the comics, but it is also very distinctly Superman. But it's just, the science fiction take on Superman is the science fiction take on that character. Just like James Cameron's Spider-Man would have been the science fiction take on Spider-Man. Just like Bryan Singer's X-Men is the science fiction take on the X-Men. But I also understand why that's just not commercially viable. Especially like in a post-Avengers world. Although I think in like the 90s, when people were just like starved for any comic book content outside of comics, people would have really liked James Cameron's Spider-Man at the time. Yeah, no, I get why modern audiences, in retrospect, for the most part, look at James Cameron's Spider-Man like, what the fuck? Why is he having sex with Mary Jane on top of our bridge? That's weird. I like my Spider-Man to have Tony Stark technology and have a young, hot Aunt MILF. That's what I like. Just me being a little passive aggressive. But you know, still, I get it. I understand. Back to comics. The best comics of 2021. I have two more here, that I list as, you know, my final two. And I'll do this one first, actually. Supergirl. Woman of Tomorrow. This comic is fantastic. People really give Tom King a lot of shit for, like, you know, he's just being sad and mean. Which, again, I understand that take. I get it. But, I don't know, just... First of all, Bilquis Evely. This woman is a absolute goddess of the pen and the ink. Jesus, look at that! Come on, man. Like, dude, look at this. Tell me this isn't sexy. Tell me, so I can tell you that you're wrong, because you will be wrong, because her art is amazing. But yeah, no, like Bilquis Evely's, she is just an absolute treasure, and I really like Tom King's take. You know, Tom King. Okay, here's the thing about Tom King. In Tom King's defense, not that he needs my defending, but here's my defense of Tom King. Tom King, for better or worse, your mileage may vary, but the thing I like about Tom King is that he is not beholden to iconography. Tom King does not allow, preconceived notion to, or I guess not just preconceived notion, but like he doesn't allow. I think I said it already. He doesn't allow iconography to like hold him back from telling a character piece, which I really appreciate. That's what I really appreciate about his Batman run. That is Tom King for the better part of like 80 issues deconstructing the character of Bruce Wayne. It's not to everybody's liking, and I understand why, because he takes Batman to some very uncomfortable places. But I don't think it's a bad take on the character. I think I think for the most part. And granted, he does get very decompressed, and it is very frustrating. But again, for the most part, I think Tom King is very strong at not binding himself to what should be, for the sake of storytelling, and I think that's really good. And he's doing that a lot with Supergirl, and I think that's really fascinating. He's also doing that a lot with Human Target right now. Although that's like only 2 issues in, so I just didn't feel confident in putting that in my best comics of 2021 list. Although I'm enjoying that quite a bit right now. But yeah, no, I like Tom King a lot. Let me see. Let me go back to the chat. Tevia, at least there's some hope outside of comics that we're getting Super Son CGI animated movie. So maybe just if the movie succeeds, that could open the door for de-aged Superboy, I hope. Maybe. Although I am very excited for that Super Sons animated film. I don't know. I really like that dynamic, and I think it'd be perfect for like a Pixar-esque like theatrical animated release. Although Warner Brothers probably isn't gonna release it like in theaters. It's probably just gonna be an HBO Max thing. Tevia, while I am not a fan of Tom King, I do agree his Supergirl run was interesting. Oh, cool, yeah. Serban, hey, what's up, Serban? How you doing? Tevia, God, that artwork is gorgeous. Yeah, dude. Like, come on. Bilquis Evely's great. She's like quickly become like one of my favorite artists working in comics right now. She's an absolute treasure. I love her. Not in a weird way. Not in the way that like people who love AOC say they love AOC. But that's the 4chan coming out of me right now, and I'm gonna let that. I'm gonna pull myself back. Serban says, unpopular opinion, Superman Up in the Sky is Tom King's best DC work besides Mr. Miracle. I can understand why you think that and say that. and I also kind of might agree. Yeah, Up in the Sky is fantastic. If it weren't for Philip Kennedy Johnson's Action Comics run, I would probably take a step further and say it's my favorite Superman comic. In fact, not my favorite. I'd say it's probably the best Superman comic that we've gotten in the past, Jesus, God knows how long. Yeah, probably since like Grant Morrison's Action Comics run and the New 52. DP fan. Tom King is like, it's my way or the highway. Yeah. Yep. Again, for better or worse. Sometimes it works out, and sometimes you get City of Bane. Although that's not really Tom King's fault. That was like editorial stepping in, going like, what if you just killed Alfred? Jesus fucking Christ. Tevia, if that's true, then there could be some hope bringing back Super Sons. You're replying to DP fan. Yeah. Yeah. On to my last comic that did something fall? I thought I felt something fall. On my pajamas. I'm actually not wearing pants right now. So like, I'm wearing these like really cool like Avengers pajamas that I actually got for Christmas last year, but I just found them. I would show them to you, but I don't feel confident that I won't spill. So, if you know what I mean. But they're really cool. I'll take a picture of them later and post them on Instagram. But the last comic that I have listed on here is Fantastic Four Life Story. Mark Russell's just I'm gonna kiss you. Not in a weird way. Not like a sexual assault kind of way. Like an astral kiss. Like a because this comic is brilliant. I love the Life storyline. I really hope after this Marvel continues to do it with other characters. I'm surprised that Marvel, with the 50th anniversary of Luke Cage, they didn't do a Luke Cage life story. I don't know. I just feel like that would make more sense right now. But I like Fantastic Four, so I'm not going to complain. But yeah, no, Mark Russell's Fantastic Four life story is just great. I've talked about the book before on streams, so I'm not going to go too in depth all with what I've already said. But no, they just Mark Russell just kind of gets what the Fantastic Four is. That it's a science fiction book first and foremost, but it still has that 80s John Byrne high concept quintessential Marvel Comics kind of flair to it. And a lot of that's the art. The artists here are Sean Izaski and Carlos Magno. I don't know if I'm showing you their names. I just said them. That's me being smarty pants. Poopy McSmart pants. Poopy McSmart pants. Butt. Nut. I'm just being weird now. I'm gonna have to hop off this soon because I am losing my brain. But yeah, no, look at the art in this. It's absolutely beautiful. Just filled with just absolute Kirby. But with a little bit of Byrne in there, it's a little bit of John Byrne. But yeah, no, this is fantastic. Also, again, Mark Russell, one of those creators, much like Cantwell, he gets that the Marvel Universe it's not the House of Heroes, it's the house of taking the American comic book superhero and subverting it to tell painful satire on American culture. Like there's a joke in here because this whole series hinges on the fact that Reed Richards made the discovery that Galactus is going to come to Earth and kill everybody. He's going to like kill the Earth, and consume it. And there's like a doomsday clock countdown to when Galactus is gonna show up, and it's like a big celebration, like kind of like in the same way that oh man, what's that? I almost said Will Ferrell. I mean Steve Carell. Wrong Canadian. If Steve Carell is Canadian, or if Will Ferrell's Canadian, I don't know. But there's a like doomsday clock countdown to when Galactus is gonna show up and kill everybody, and you know you see everybody in like Times Square. They're like gathered up, like that movie that Steve Carell was in, Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. That's what it is. And like they're having like weird like sex party orgies, and you know just like getting drunk and just losing their minds because nothing matters anymore. They just kind of like devolve into utter debauchery, and you even have corporations selling people these like life rafts. Like, see here, okay, there's a commercial for the Hammer Industries life raft, now serving pets. Like, that's quintessential Marvel Comics. This is what Marvel Comics is, and you know should be. And Mark Russell just kind of gets it. You know, it's funny. You know, it's The Boys, but like made by someone who actually likes superheroes. Yeah, I don't know. Mark Russell gets it, and I absolutely love this comic. This comic's great. But yeah, those are my favorite comics of 2021. Yeah. Again, I think as someone said earlier, as aggressively relaxing said earlier, just a great year of comics, a great year for comics. And I'm very excited to see what next year has to offer. Let's see. DP fan. I heard a lot of rumors about DC editorial apparently planning to retcon a gay relationship between John Kent and Damian Wayne. Weird. That's weird. Because they're kid. I don't know. It's weird. Anyways, TP fan. It's life story time. Yes, it is. Yes, it was. And yes, it will be. Because this book's not over yet. So it will be life story time in 2022. X-Men life story. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. DP fan says X-Men life story and Avengers life story would be really cool. You're smart. I bet when you go to bars, like, girls be like, oh, you're smart. You're so smart. You're so smart. You're very smart. That's a great idea. I think X-Men life story would be perfect. Although that's kind of X-Men Grand Design. Not exact. No, they're different. They're different. Yeah, okay, never mind. Grand Design is very different from life story. But yeah, you know what? An X-Men life story would be really good. Who would write that? I'm very curious who would write that. I know who I think should draw that. I think Pepe Larraz should be the person who draws that. And Avengers life story, that would also be really cool. God, if it's very unfortunate. If George Perez wasn't passing away, I would totally say George Perez should be the person who draws Avengers life story. But yeah, I don't know who would do an Avengers life story book. I guess you would have to probably get like Stuart Immonen. I think Stuart Immonen would be a pretty good fit for an Avengers life story book. As far as the art is concerned, I don't know who would get to write it. Well, you know what? If Bendis if the rumors are true about Bendis leaving DC, I think Bendis should be the guy to do Avengers life story. Because the Avengers is like Bendis' bread and butter. Bendis loves those characters in that universe. But yeah. Who would write X-Men life story? I'm fascinated by that. I see. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Is your name Icy Nibizuki or Icky Nibizuki? Let me know. I'm channeling my inner English high school teacher where I'm just dog shit with names. I'm sorry about that. But Nibizuki says, what about a Hulk life story? I think that would be perfect. And I think the perfect person to write that would be Peter fucking David. Because Peter David understands the Hulk like a motherfucker. Yes! Ow, hit myself in the face. Ow, that hurt. These poof balls are actually very painful. But yeah, Peter David would rock a Hulk life story book. As far as art is concerned, I don't know who would be a great... You know what? No. Lee Weeks would be a great artist for the for a Hulk life story book. Yeah, Lee Weeks is my pick for that. I mean, Lee Weeks also would have been my pick for a Spiderman life story. But I also I appreciate that they got Mark Bagley to do it, because Mark Bagley is like Spider-Man royalty at this point. DP fan, X-Men life story with Grant Morrison? Yeah. Although I think Grant Morrison is retired. I think they're just kind of done with the comics line, and I understand their frustration. So yeah. But I would want a sci-fi writer on it, says DP fan. I personally agree, because I fucks with X-Men as a science fiction thing, personally. But I think for the sake of like a celebration of the X-Men and what the X-Men are supposed to be, and what they have been more or less for the past, like, holy shit, 1975 was 50 years ago. Wow. Or like almost 50 years ago. But I think you would need a soap opera-esque a writer to do a life story thing for X-Men. I think that's how you kind of celebrate the X-Men, in the same way that, like, you know, life story is for Fantastic Four like a science fiction book, kind of delved in like, I almost said Eldritch horror, but it kind of is Eldritch horror a little bit. It's more Lovecraft, which is what Kirby was going for. So like, if this is if Fantastic Four life story is Lovecraft and Spider-Man life story is like character drama, I think X-Men would have to be soap opera. Although I also, can I just make a little complaint about the life story line? I think these are too short. I think, okay, and this is just me being a hack, but I think if your whole shtick is decades, I think you should do these in increments of 12 issues instead of like 6 or 7. And I get why you're doing it in like 6 issues, because, you know, these characters have been around for 6 decades, but there's 12 months in a year. It should be 12 issues. Also, you're kind of playing off of the, like, you know, the 12 Trials of Hercules, and you're kind of like doing a mythological thing with these characters where, yeah, you're myth breaking them. You're kind of like saying the comics that we have are the myths, and this is how the characters actually were. I think you should do that in 12 issues. That's just my train of thought. If that made sense to anybody who could decipher what my weird brain is trying to pick up on. Icy? It's Icy? Okay. Icy Nibizuki. Thanks. Yeah, I'm terrible with names, but thank you for letting me know, and thanks for watching. Thanks for joining the stream. But yeah, as much as I love X-Men as a science fiction thing, I think you'd have to make it a soap opera. Just like if you're doing an Avengers thing, you'd have to make it a soap opera because Avengers is very soap opera-ish, as well. I'm actually gonna peace out in like 10 minutes because we're going on 2 hours. But yeah, let's answer some last questions. Off topic. Actually, let me go up again because DP Fan had another point. DP Fan, Avengers life story with Bendis would be amazing. LOL new Avengers life story as well. I love that team. That would be really cool. That's also why I said Bendis should be the guy to do that. Because Bendis, he is the Avengers guy. But I also think he's the X-Men guy. Even though his run on X-Men makes several continuity errors that are very glaring. But yeah, no. I think it would be very fitting to have Bendis do either X-Men or Avengers life story, or both. Serban says, off topic, but today I read Superman 64 by Dan Jurgens, and it's both a perfect Superman and a perfect Christmas story. I 100% recommend it if you haven't read it already. Superman number 64. I'm just going to look that up real quick. Let's see. Jurgens. Looking at the cover, I think I own this. I think it's in my comic book collection over there. In my long boxes, or my pile of long boxes that I have, just squirreled away like nuts in a squirrel's nut nest. That sounds disgusting. I should phrase that better, but I'm not going to because that takes effort and yeah. But yeah, no, I have that issue. I haven't read it in God knows how long, but I remember liking it as a kid. Let's see. DP Fan, Hulk life story with Peter David would be genius. He'll probably build up to Hulk and Banner becoming the Maestro. Yeah, which if you have not read the new Maestro books, I feel like clapping is gonna irritate the mic, and it's gonna not make me sound audible. So I'm just gonna. If you have not read the Peter David Maestro books that are new, you're missing out. Because those comics are fantastic. But I would be interested to see like if he does anything different with it. You know, in that he's not constrained to like a set timeline. He's just able to make shit up, you know, as he goes along. I would be interested to see like if he does anything different with that. But yeah, I think that's the conclusion for the Hulk in Peter David's eyes, the Maestro. I see Nibizuki says an artist would love to see. As an artist, I would love to see on X-Men. Oh, sorry, no, I said that right. An artist I would love to see on an X-Men life story book would be Iban Coelho. Who? I don't know who that is. I'm gonna look that up. Iban Coelho. Holy shit! Oh my god! Oh, okay. Iban Coelho. That's the guy who did that Miles Morales Captain America variant cover. Okay, yeah, I can see that. I fucks with that. Yeah. Look at you. Look at you. If imagine there's a crown, but I'm not taking the hat off because I like the hat. But imagine the hat's a crown, like spiritually, just on your head. I see. Yeah, you did it. I likes that. I likes that train of thought. DP fan, life story could have been 12 issues each decade. I agree. Thanks for reaching into my brain and pulling out what I was trying to say. DP fan, the rumors of Bendis coming back to Marvel since he's not exclusive to DC gets me hyped. Are those some set rumors? Is them some real rumors? I hope there's some legitimacy to that, because I think okay. Now that I'm sobered up, I think when Bendis first left Marvel, I was really happy because I just wasn't liking X-Men. I didn't like, some of the stuff that Bendis was doing with like Miles Morales. I thought he was actually holding Miles Morales back. Although, given the current Miles Morales stuff, I don't think that was Bendis' fault. I think Miles Morales in the comics is just not a good character. I like him a lot in the Spider-Verse movie. I like him a lot in the video game, but just comics, rough. Oof. Just painfully mishandled. I think I might do a video on that soon. Because that's been on my mind a lot lately. But yeah, I'd be interested to see, now that like I'm not just cream pied with rage. In retrospect, Bendis did a lot of really good stuff with Marvel. Even before he left, like that Jessica Jones book that he did before he left was really good. I also really appreciate the Defenders book that he did. I thought that was pretty good too. So yeah, I would be down for Bendis going back to Marvel. Let's see. Troy, hey, welcome back, Troy. Maestro is great. Man of culture you are. Man of culture you are. Breezy, fun, darkly comic. Yep. We just talked about that. I've definitely seen Eben's work before. Again, names. Just Jeff Lemire is my favorite writer working in comics right now. I could not tell you his name. Like for the first 3 years, I called myself a fan of him. He's a Marvel guy. Who, Bendis? Yeah, I definitely think he is. DP fan, Bendis is better off in his own continuity, the Bendis verse, which is also why I think Bendis would make an amazing life story continuity. That's just like his own to play with. But yeah, we are coming up on 2 hours, and I think this is a pretty good place to end. It's been great talking to you guys. I say that as I'm just looking into a camera and just like spewing nonsense into my room. Like 100 years ago, I'd probably be called like schizophrenic and like thrown into like a padded cell. But no, we just call those people YouTubers now. So yeah, guys, it's been a genuine pleasure. I love talking with you guys. I love talking comics with you. It's great. And it's been great making videos with you guys, for you guys. I saw, the last I checked the subscriber count, it was at 556 subscribers. Thank you very much for subscribing and tuning in and listening to my insanely annoying voice, which I think is annoying, but I've been told people like it a lot. But thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. I love you guys tremendously. And yeah, I'm really bad at this whole thing, like the whole like speechifying and ending things. But yeah, I love you guys a lot. And I hope that y'all have an amazing new year. If I had a glass here, which I don't have a glass, but I got a baby powder thing. Not really baby powder, it's foot powder for my boots. I got a foot powder toast with foot powder. Yes. Dink the glass. Thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. And yeah, until next time, as always, adios, nachos. Adios. Happy New Year.